It was just a 2-game set this week between the Phillies and the Marlins. The Phils did split, courtesy of a Kyle Schwarber grand salami, to take Game 2 over Miami. The Phils remain at home against a divisional foe for the next few days against the Washington Nationals. Mark Zinno here for a second straight segment for his daily plays around this Thursday MLB slate. Zinno, only 7 games on this Thursday MLB card, and one of the strongest lines, a minus 270 number in favor of Philadelphia, with Zack Wheeler on the bump against the Nats. The total is 8. Is the price nearly $3 in favor of the Fightins justified today at the bank?
It is, just because of Zack Wheeler's numbers at home. 2.48 ERA, opposing batters batting just 187 against him. He's already faced the Nats this year, going 7 innings, allowing just 2 runs and 3 hits. So the number is right for Zack Wheeler when it comes to him pitching at home this year, a guy who's second in the Cy Young voting. And plus, you also have the Phillies going up against left-hander Mitchell Parker. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, the Phillies' numbers against lefties this season: scored the second most runs, hit the second most home runs of lefties at home, and they're top 10 in OPS and WRC plus at home this season. Phillies 5-1 against the Nats this year so far. 4 of those 5 wins been by 2 runs or more. The price is right. Phillies minus 1.5 to play.
Yeah, a little bit better vibes, too, in Philadelphia. Look like another loss to the Marlins. They pulled that one out. Schwarber grand slam. Bullpen holds it down. Now you got your stopper on the mound today. We'll see if you get on a win streak for the Philadelphia Phillies. Boston and Baltimore also tonight, 6:35 Eastern. Pivetta versus Eflin. Favorite here for Baltimore. Actually opened up at a minus 152 price overnight. It's now showing live at a minus 136 price. So a little bit of a dip there for the Orioles, a total of 8.5. 2 good teams at the plate here. What gives tonight down in Baltimore?
Guys, I am officially Captain Ahab when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles going down with this damn ship. Because the last 2 nights, they've been the Orioles against the Nationals in the first 5 and lost that one when Trevor Rogers got rocked. And last night, I bet the Orioles team total over to watch them in the 7th inning not push a runner across with 2 outs in the 8th, and 2 outs in the 7th, and then do it again in the 8th to not get that 5th run. So what are we doing here, guys? We are going to go down with the ship. We're going to take the over 8.5 in this game. Why?
Yes.
Because the Orioles are top 10 in batting average, OPS, and WRC plus at home. They've hit the 2nd most home runs. They've scored the 6th most runs. Red Sox starter Nick Pivetta has been better on the road this year, but his last 4 starts a little rough, posting a 5.40 ERA. Hasn't faced the Birds this year, so maybe a little bit of a mixed bag. But the Red Sox bullpen guy's been taxed in that series with the Rangers, going to extra innings twice, losing yesterday. So the Orioles will have at least 8, if not 9 at-bats to get this thing going. Zach Eflin starts for Baltimore. Now, he's already faced the Red Sox this year in a Tampa Bay Rays uniform. Didn't go well for him in this start. Last year, made 2 starts against him. Didn't go well there either, to an ERA near 7. The Red Sox, on the road this year, number 3 in runs scored, number 4 in home runs hit, and top 3 in batting average, OPS, and WRC plus on the road this year. I'm going down with this ship. If we don't get 9 runs tonight between these 2 teams, I may just call it quits.
The Red Sox had an opportunity for a Fenway sweep over the Rangers in the midweek, but Wyatt Langford, the rookie for Texas, had other ideas in the top of the 9th, a 3-run bomb that sent it to extras, and Texas takes advantage to avoid the sweep. The Red Sox 2 games back of the Royals for the 3rd and final AL wildcard spot. The Mets 2 games back of the Braves for the 3rd and final National League wildcard spot after a 9-1 victory yesterday against the A's. It's the rubber match, day baseball on a Thursday at Citi Field in Flushing. The Mets close to a $2 favorite. Zinno, will New York take the rubber match and the midweek set against Oakland?
It's a tough call. I mean, I got this game in half, and believe it or not, I won in the first 5 here. Just knowing that Quintana, doesn't feel like he is all that reliable of a starter. And when you start to look at Oakland and what they've done against left-handed pitching since the beginning of July, they've actually done really, really well, which has kind of been shocking that they've been able to hit lefties as good as they have. And they're top 10 in OPS and WRC plus against lefties since July 1st. So it's not really a great setup for the Mets here. And the A's bullpen isn't bad. So even if Mitch Spence is, shaky early, you may be able to get some luck here with the A's bats to get to Quintana.
21-14 since July began. The Oakland Athletics, once a laughingstock in Major League Baseball. Not necessarily the case this year. Still 51-70 and 19 games below 500, but still not as bad as maybe we thought. Mark Zinno, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Hour 3 on the early line is up next. The fastest to 300, only 955 career games for Aaron Judge. The least amount of at-bats as well in front of the Bambino, Babe Ruth. 300 career home runs for Aaron Judge last night in Chicago against the White Sox. When you look at the history that Aaron Judge has already accomplished, Craig, where does this stack up?
Look, we know where this is headed as long as he is healthy for the next several years. He's headed to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He'll be a Yankee lifer. I mean, I think all those things are fair at this point. When you're talking about a player that big in stature, you're just worried about injuries. Let's just be honest. Very few comparative players to Judge's height, his weight, his body mass. Very few of those guys, Ben, are playing 17 years and such in Major League Baseball. But and that being said, I think he is a mold breaker. You've seen over the last couple of years, he's been healthier than he has in years past. And so certainly if he continues to play like this, gets to the 500 home run mark, I think he's ticketed for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we'll see what they do down the stretch. Both him and Soto certainly dominant. How about last night, Craig? You take a look at, hey, let's walk Soto to get the Judge. My goodness, did they end up paying for that at the end up? Again, two great hitters here. You got to pick your poison. They chose Judge. Didn't work out in their favor. Yesterday, the Dodgers' first inning worked out in their favor, Craig. 3-0 lead with Walker Buehler on the mound, but it didn't end up in a victory here. Buehler goes 3 1/3 innings pitched, only gives up 1 earned run, but 4 walks in that space. They lose that game. Can't win them all. They did salvage a victory. The Brewers did. But what were we looking from Walker Buehler? Maybe the expectations of Buehler down the stretch for the Dodgers.
Yeah, we just haven't seen Buehler at his best in 2 years. So, we didn't see it again last night. And look, it just seems like he's one of those pitchers. Donnie, when pitchers have these injuries, Tommy Johns, things like that, it feels like out of every, would you say, 5-6 guys, there's one that doesn't come all the way back, or at least initially. And he is unfortunately one of those 10-20 percenters that just doesn't seem like he's all the way back from his injury issues. But provided he's got another month to get right, I don't think the Dodgers are going to be counting on more than 4 innings from him and just kind of go to the bullpen at that point. I think that's what they're hoping for over the next few starts. But really the most interesting play of the game, I don't know if you guys caught this, was when Dave Roberts had an appeal because Clayton Kershaw saw the guy on second base, the runner for the Brewers, not touch the bag. They appealed it during the game because of Kershaw, and they ended up winning the appeal and getting the guy out. I know they didn't win the game, but it just shows you what Kershaw means to the team in the dugout.
A great start on Monday for Kersh in Mookie Betts' return. 2 of the 3 have gone to L.A. The Brewers victorious yesterday, the 4th and final game in Wisconsin on this Thursday. Craig, as we go elsewhere around Major League Baseball, the National League is getting really interesting. For a very long time, it seemed as though it would be a race for the number 1 overall spot between the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers have moved in front ever so slightly in front of Philadelphia, but the Dodgers being tested not only at the top, but within their own division by the San Diego Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks, only 2.5 games back. At the end of the regular season, Craig, in your estimation, who's that number 1 overall seed in the NL?
Yeah, I still think it's probably going to end up being the Dodgers. I mean, Philly's been a little bit of hit or miss lately. It seems like when they have Wheeler pitching or Nola pitching, everything goes fine. And then beyond that, it's like back to those old issues they've had. Ranger Suarez getting healthy, obviously a big key for them as well. But I wonder how Major League Baseball is going to feel about this, guys, because it does seem like those 5 teams that you showed on the graphic, because of the month that they've had at the end of July and August, are going to make the postseason. Like, would you say right now that any team is going to surpass Arizona? Milwaukee's going to win the division. I mean, San Diego feels like they're close to a lock to be the 5 or 6 seed. So you're just looking at one final seed. And will it be the Braves? Will it be the Mets? And then, don't look now, but all of a sudden the Cincinnati Reds are doing what they did last year too. So maybe that's the race to watch, is the final seed in the NL.
Yeah, the NL West is incredible. Throughout those months of, let's just say May and early June, it looks like the Dodgers would run away with it. Now you're questioning if the Dodgers can actually win because of how tough those two teams have been playing. If we take a look at Boston and Baltimore here, the AL East will go to the opposite coast. They'll tangle tonight. Pivetta versus Eflin, favorite here for the Baltimore Orioles, total of 8.5. I like both of these lineups. What do you think of tonight between Boston and Baltimore?
Yeah, I think one potential play for me today would be to, and I like games like this where you can play the plus 200s or plus 300s, Donnie. Nick Pivetta, who's had such a really good season. I don't know what is going on with him. He's given up 6 home runs in the last 3 games. So maybe this is a Santander plus 280 or Colton Cowser plus 250, 260, 3 plus 300. I think I'm going to just head over to the Orioles home run props today. Because, again, if Pivetta is going to average giving up 2 home runs a game, hasn't been doing that all season. I don't know if it's the weather or just not enough life on the fastball. Again, I don't know the metrics for that. But take a look at Pivetta the last 3 games. How do you not play an Oriole to hit a home run today?
Anthony Santander, 36 home runs this year for Baltimore, third most in MLB, only behind Aaron Judge, who has 43 and a substantial advantage, and Shohei Ohtani, who has 37. The Yankees a half-game lead over Baltimore right now in the American League East, another great divisional race to watch down the stretch. Craig Mish, thank you so much for your time as always. See you on Newswire starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. A 7-game Thursday slate around Major League Baseball in these next 2 minutes before Donnie gets a much-needed 2-minute break before the money line. We are going to preview all 7 games around MLB on this Thursday, including the 4th and final during the afternoon hours in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, between the Dodgers and the Brewers. LA victorious in the first 2 games of the set. Sloppy defense really on both sides, but the Dodgers recording 3 errors yesterday cost them the game. Milwaukee wins 5-4 to scratch across its first win of this 4-game series. The 4th and final today, where the Dodgers remain a road favorite. Jack Flaherty makes his 3rd start in a Dodgers uniform. Total is at 8. What do you like in the 4th and final game of the set in Milwaukee?
Yeah, we might be looking at that afternoon under action. I don't know if it gets to 9 runs today, because if we are taking a look at this short slate, the best pitcher on the card, you know who it is? It's Jack Flaherty here of the Los Angeles Dodgers. An xFIP minus over the past 60 days of a 76, an ERA of 2.56, manageable Sierra and xFIP numbers. He should be able to handle his business. If we're just looking at the past 30 days here out of Flaherty, he's faced 96 batters, Ben, a 121 ISO and a 267 weighted on base percentage. We flip it over to the Dodgers, who lost yesterday, hoping not to lose this game and sort of spoil what they could have had, winning 3 out of 4 games in Milwaukee. That would be pretty nice. First 5 guys in that lineup have absolutely been hammering right-handed pitching. Tobias Myers is the right-handed pitcher on the mound today for the Brewers. He actually struggles a bit with left-handed batters, which isn't a great thing with Ohtani and Freeman staring you down. And also, how about Gavin Lux? 70 at-bats as a left-handed batter against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days. A 306 ISO and a 469 weighted on base percentage. Living up to that hype this year, I think the Dodgers obviously get the victory here. They're a favorite and a decent one here, but I also think the under makes a lot of sense in the afternoon in Milwaukee today.
Flaherty 9-5 overall this year with a 2.97 ERA. He has won both of the starts he has made with Los Angeles, despite giving up 4 earned in his most recent start over the weekend against Pittsburgh. Did strike out 10 Pirates, though, in that outing. So the Dodgers a half-game lead at this moment for the best record in the National League. The Phillies finally a win yesterday, 9-5, the victory over the Fish. They were down early. Kyle Schwarber stepping up when needed. Zack Wheeler on the bump tonight at home inside Citizens Bank Ballpark at a minus 270 price. DRS, what is the significance of Philly breaking out of this summer slump when you have guys like Zack Wheeler on the mound?
Yeah, it's really big. And also, you're taking a look at last time Zack Wheeler was on the mound, I believe it was a Sunday afternoon, maybe in Seattle, where he had to be that stopper, goes 8 innings pitched. And now you see him return back to the mound at home. And it's like, hey, man, we got to be absolutely dominant again. And yesterday, the Phillies were down 5-2 in that game to a bad Marlins team. One swing of the bat by Kyle Schwarber was a grand slam, sort of got him out of that funk. But are we led to believe that? Yeah, I understand Zack Wheeler is great, but would we be surprised if this game ended up in the 7th inning, a 1-1 game, and Wheeler's out of it? Now it's a de facto coin flip. the Phillies should win this game. Wheeler's the much better pitcher. The Phillies are playing for something down the stretch. The Nationals are not. But also, are you laying close to a $3 price? I'm not doing that. So you try to take a look at where you can make some money with some plus money options. Mitchell Parker's a left-handed pitcher, average at best. Lefty struggling against right-handed batters. A tale as old as time. You take a look at that lineup. Alec Boehm right in the middle, and Nick Castellanos had very good numbers against left-handed pitching over the past month. But also, Schwarber is a lefty. He's annihilated left-handed pitching over the past month. A 350 ISO and a 513 weighted on base percentage. Instead of taking the favorite, the Phillies, who I do think win, but I don't feel like laying that price point here, maybe a couple RBI shots from the Phillies makes a little bit more sense.
Zack Wheeler plus 220 right now, second best price to win the National League Cy Young Award behind Chris Sale, who's a minus 200 favorite. Wheeler has been great in his last two starts. The Phils did record a loss in his last one against the Arizona Diamondbacks, but not because Wheeler was bad, only allowing 2 earned over 6 innings of work. The Phils snapped that 4-game losing skid yesterday with the come-from-behind victory against Miami, but still just 8-16 since the All-Star break. And now Philadelphia, a half game back of L.A. for that top spot in the National League. Fourth and final game of this extended midweek set out in San Francisco between the Giants and the Braves. Atlanta, a huge win yesterday. Michael Harris II returning to the lineup for the first time in 2 months and hit a home run in his first at-bat. In a game, or in a series, Donnie, that went to extras in low-scoring affairs, decided by just a single run in the first 2 nights. Last night, Atlanta winning big, of course, 13-2 the final. The Braves looking for a 4-game sweep. Will Atlanta accomplish that today as a slight road underdog? Max Fried on the bump for the Braves. On the other side, it's Logan Webb for the Giants.
I'll take Logan Webb, and I think it's a bounce-back performance coming today for the San Francisco Giants. Max Fried is his name. Well, he's been Max Fried the past 2 ball games. Hasn't really shown up to what we actually anticipate him actually doing on that mound, which, again, leads into today. Struggling with lefties, struggling a little bit with righties. I'll take the better pitcher on the mound today, and that is going to be Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants. It'd be huge if Atlanta could escape with a victory, and typically if Max Fried is on the mound, you get those great starts. But, again, those last 2 starts, very questionable on the road. Getaway day. The one thing that we do like also, very tough to usually hit at night in San Francisco. That wasn't the case yesterday. The marine layer won't be there, 70-degree temperatures as opposed to 60-degree temperatures. Wind still blowing out dead center field at double digits, which is typical out in San Francisco. Maybe we do get runs, but I do think the San Francisco Giants bounce back today. I think they have the better pitcher on the mound. I'll go that route.
Total is dropping. 7 and a hook is what you saw on the screen. Now a 7, flat at 7 live on the FanDuel Sportsbook. You almost feel bad for the Giants. It's probably not the correct word to use, but San Francisco entered the final game of its weekend set looking for a sweep, and they had won 12 of their last 15, unable to accomplish it against the Tigers, losing by a single run. Lost the first 2 games of this series against Atlanta in extra innings by a single run. Yesterday, hammered. The Braves have won 3 straight after dropping 7 of their last 8 games entering this series by the Bay. Rubber match today, some day baseball up in Queens at Citi Field. The Mets and the A's. If Donnie is correct and Logan Webb is good today for San Francisco, the Giants avoid a sweep. It would be a must-win type of game for the Mets to close to only a game behind Atlanta for the 3rd and final National League wild card spot. The line working in favor of the Amazons, now a minus 180 home money line favorite, total at 8.5. What do you like for the rubber match against the A's?
Yeah, Spence is an interesting pitcher on the mound today. Last 96 batters he's faced over the past month, a 140 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 304, which is very good. Analytically, though, if we're looking at the card, there actually are some really good pitchers here, so maybe it's a little bit unfair. I got him ranked 14th out of 15th pitchers. However, his xFIP minus is only a 103, slightly above average. I just trust that New York Mets lineup a little bit more. 86-degree temperatures today in Queens should be able to be a decent hitting day. Now, also, looking at that Oakland Athletics lineup going up against Jose Quintana, left-handed pitcher. He's had some pretty good splits here over the past 30 days. 95 batters he's faced, Ben, a 141 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 288. I look at the lineup today. There are some very good hitters against left-handed pitching in there, but I'm not finding Rooker in that lineup. I don't know if he got banged up a little bit yesterday or it's a day game, just needs a scheduled day off. They've already released that and pulled it. There we go. So he's on the paternity list. So that certainly hurts where he probably would have a legitimate chance to go yard today. today. Advantage New York Mets. I think that they handle their business today and keep that offense in form like we saw yesterday.
The two games in this set so far, the winning team has scored 9 runs. We could be in for some more offense today at Citi Field. The Mets ended a 4-game skid with the win yesterday over Oakland, but they have still lost 7 of their last 11, trying to play good baseball to keep pace with Atlanta in the National League wild card chase. And again, the A's are not a great team. They're 19 games below 500. They're 51-70. But everybody expected Oakland to be like the White Sox this year. The Athletics have not been that. 14-9 since the All-Star break. 21-14 since the month of July began. So that's 4 of the 7 games on the MLB card on this Thursday. The other 3 from the mind of Donnie Rightside as the baseball breakdowns continue. Up next, live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid. Live right here on this Thursday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. We've got a 7-game Major League Baseball slate. We've hit the first 4. Now the next 3. A divisional duel starts today inside Camden Yards between Baltimore and Boston. The O's a half game behind the Yankees now for the top overall spot in the American League East. Boston 2 games back of Kansas City for the 3rd and final American League wild card position. The Red Sox had a chance to sweep the Rangers yesterday. Wyatt Langford, a 3-run shot in the top of the 9th, sends the games to extras. Texas avoids the sweep. Baltimore, a victory over the Nationals, 4-1 to enter with a win. The O's are a home favorite today, minus 136. Total, 8.5. What do you like for the opener in Baltimore?
Yeah, it seems like it is going to be a coin flip type of game. And also today, it's not a large card. Yesterday, I had a crazy amount of bets again, was profitable, which was great to see. But today, I don't think we're going to get down with that much excitement because there are a lot of solid pitchers on the mound. You might look at this game and say to yourself, okay, Pivetta versus Eflin, 2 guys, like what is it, like a rematch of Philadelphia Phillies pitchers? They've actually been very good, particularly here, Ben, over the past 60 days. Take a look at these numbers here analytically. Pivetta is an 80 xFIP minus number. Zack Eflin is an 88 xFIP minus number, Sierra numbers 317 and 383, both manageable here, but there are 2 solid lineups here that you would love to get down on. But you take a look at Zack Eflin. ISO power number weighted on base percentage last 30 days, a 117 ISO and a 300 weighted on base percentage. That should hold pretty well here. If we go to the opposite side and take a look at Nick Pivetta, here's the interesting part. I just told you Pivetta is actually 3rd on the card out of 14 pitchers with a very good xFIP minus. But take a look at this. You wouldn't know it by what's actually taking place on the diamond. The reason why he gets the bump is he's a great strikeout pitcher. He's actually struck out 42% of the left-handed batters that he's faced over the past month and 35% combined if you include lefty and righties. That's what keeps you. But look at this. ISO against 272, weighted on base percentage 337. If you just focus on right-handed batters going up against a right-handed Pivetta, a 381 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 459. So there's a reason why the Baltimore Orioles are going to be favored today. A, they're the better team. B, they're at home. But I do think those Nick Pivetta non-analytical numbers should be able to get caught up to tonight because that's a very good offense for the Baltimore Orioles. So maybe it's just the Orioles today, and I might be snooping down maybe a couple RBI for them, but it is sort of a more of a coin flip game. But again, you're asking me for who's going to win. I do think it's going to be Baltimore.
So you had Anthony Santander from the mouth of Craig Mish to maybe hit a home run, plus 390.
Yeah,
He's got to get it. Yesterday, he gave you Michael Massey. Michael Massey did not play in the game for Kansas City, getting a rest day. So Craig giving out picks. Today, it's going to hit Santander at plus 390. So the Red Sox looking up by 2 games at the Kansas City Royals for the 3rd and final American League wildcard spot. Casey avoiding the sweep yesterday in Minnesota. Great outing out of Cole Reagans as the Royals avoid a sweep. But the Twins playing pretty good baseball as of this moment. In the second of the 3 wildcard positions around the AL, they make a trip to Arlington to take on the reigning World Series champs. The Rangers, yes, they beat Boston yesterday to avoid the sweep, but Texas 9 games below 500. They have lost 13 of its last 18. The reigning World Series champs in grave danger of missing out on the postseason this year unless they can turn things around quickly. They're booked as a home underdog today against the Twins. Total of 8. What's the play in Arlington?
Sounds like 10 games under 500. Soon to be coming to the Texas Rangers here. The Minnesota Twins got the better pitcher on the mound. Bailey Ober, maybe not one of those household names that you love to bet on, but on the card today, he's number 2 overall. XFIP minus numbers is 77. But how about this for you non-analytical guys? How about last 60 days? 1.76 ERA. Maybe that resonates a little bit more. If you take a look at just his last 101 batters he's faced, an 0.86 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 165, microscopic here. Let's flip it over to the other side. Cody Bradford, only 48 batters he's faced over the past 30 days, but really been struggling with right-handed batters to the tune of a 360 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 416. You go right to that lineup today. Royce Lewis has great numbers against left-handed pitching. You also take a look at Kyle Farmer, limited at bats. He's done well. Christian Vasquez. I just think the Minnesota Twins are the better team today with the better pitcher and a cheap price. Even though it's on the road, give me the Twins.
Yeah, I think it's a really good look, DRS. Again, Minnesota minus 118. The Twins trying to keep pace, if at all possible, with the Guardians in the American League Central, but Cleveland's won 5 straight games. The Guardians have opened up a 4.5-game advantage in that division. Third and final game between the Tigers and the Mariners. Seattle trying to keep pace in the American League West. They've now dropped back by 2.5 games behind the Astros. The Tigers looking for a sweep in this 3-game midweek set over Seattle in the Motor City, but the Mariners a road favorite today. Does Seattle avoid the sweep? Do the Tigers take all 3?
I think they do avoid the sweep, but if we're looking, like Seattle hasn't been right at the plate in this series against Detroit. It is a pitcher's ballpark. I think that changes today. Faedo is going to be on the mound, really struggling over the past 30 days, and quite frankly in the season. If you go seasonal against right-handed batters, he's got a 228 ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 392. If you just go through his last 50 batters and combine lefty and righty hitters, Ben, it's a 262 ISO and a 400 weighted on base percentage. Normally, we don't love that Mariners lineup, but today, how about this? Outside of Mitch Garver, the other 8 anticipated guys in the lineup, elevated ISO and weighted on base percentages. They should win the game, but you know what's even better here? They don't actually have to win. Just take the team total. I understand they haven't hit here. I believe they're going to hit in this game and really tackle that. Give me Seattle's team total to the over. I think that's a solid play in the afternoon.
You know what? I'm going to be a nice guy. Let's give you an extra minute of a break after carrying the show for the first hour and a half. Enjoy the money line, my friend, and hold down the fort tomorrow on a Friday. I've got a wedding this weekend, but before college football season begins.
I mean, you're already prepping at this point. Now, some are saying this wedding you're going to might turn into another wedding sometime down the line. I mean, we're just hearing stuff in the street. Maybe I'm just spitballing out here. I don't know. It's been a long morning. Who knows? It's been a real long morning.
I got to show my girlfriend Chloe this clip now and put the pressure on me for a weekend away in California. Wine country.
That's why I didn't show up
Santa
this morning.
Barbara, DRS.
Ring shopping this morning. You showed up late. It happens.
Yeah,
we all been there before. It takes a little bit. Hey, let me take a look at that 3rd or 4th ring. They try to upsell you here. We've all been there. It takes extra time. It happens, man. It does.
So here I was trying to give you an extra minute, and you're just slandering me. Do you want to close out the segment with one final bit?
Yep. I mean, it's a tough morning here. My right earpiece is now officially out. It's been blinking all morning. Your boy's been putting in the work. Now he heads to radio. Ben closes it down. Ben's off tomorrow. Your boy will be back in the studio. It's how we do it. It's football season right on the grid. Stay tuned for Ben Solo.